How's it? We just got back from lunch, and what kind of seafood goes great with peanut butter? I would say jellyfish. Today we're making some nice A3 size paper of our composition photographs. So very nice here. We're gonna use this example in our Photoshop. So what you're gonna do is Command N. We're gonna call this class ID A3 comp. Instead of A4, we're gonna choose A3. It's gonna be a bigger size, 300 resolution. Color mode, we'll keep that with RGB since we're working on the computer right now. We might change that later. So now we have our big canvas. Now what you want to do is go in and insert all of your files. So go in and drag in your letter photography, Command A, Command C, Command V. And when you paste it into there, let me show you guys what we're going to be doing. You want to put it towards the top, Command T to transform, hold down the Shift key, and then make it a little bit bigger. You want to make sure it hit enter. Make sure it's not distorted. Make sure it's good enough quality. And we need to make sure we have guides so that we know our boundaries for our border line. So go into Photoshop and go into Preferences and Units and Rulers. Make sure it's in inches, which it is. And we are going to Command R. Make sure our rulers are up there. And we're going to point them down to the second mark here, so 1/4 of an inch, right about there. There are faster ways of doing this, and we could do things when we set it up, but I like to do this just to show you guys and remind you guys how to use guides. Make sure you do the bottom one too. So we have all of our guides set up on all 4 of our sides. So now we're ready to place your image. So line up right in that corner, Command T to transform, and right about there. Perfecto. Okay. So go in. Now here's my composition photographs. Make sure you just hit Command I on one of them and make sure they're the right size, or you can go in here and view them as details. And you'll see like these are too small, 15 kilobytes, 71. Those are way too small. If you notice, it printed it pretty blurry. So you want to make sure you download the original copy. You can't just drag them from the internet, from your Picasso album onto the computer. It'll probably strip down the quality. So make sure it's at least 50, 100 kilobytes at least. I mean, the higher the number, the better. So don't skimp out, otherwise it won't print clear at all. So what I'm going to do is drag in all of those. There should be 9 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to drag those into Photoshop. Notice how small those are? That's not good. Once you have your first image in there, Command click on it so it's selected. Let's fill that color black just as a template. So click on the white part, Command I, so it selects only that image, and then we can go to Edit, Fill Black, and then it's black. So now hit V, and then hold down the Option key, and actually hit Command R to make sure there's a guide. And we're going to bring this square option and bring that side along this way. Now how far should we take them? Well, that just depends. Depends on our guides. So again, we have guides at a 1/4, the second hash mark. And now let's go ahead and do a square to get that much space from that guide. Hit V to move it, and we're going to go 75% more of that square. So hit Command T, and you'll see here it says 100% for the width. Let's change that to 175. So make it a little bit bigger. And now apply, and let's move that right into there. Command click on the other square, move that right over there. Command click on that square, move it over. And command click on that square and move it over. Now, as you can see, we are outside our guide, because our guide again is right there on quarter of an inch. So what we need to do is make these squares a little bit smaller. So hold down Shift, so you highlight all three of those squares. Command T to transform. Hold on the Shift, resize, and there we go. Now we got them evenly distributed. So now we're ready to make our marks going vertically down. So I'm going to hold down the Option key and drag those three down here. Alright, so after you have a second row, let's make a third row. Hold down the Option key, make sure all three layers are selected, and drag that down. Now, go ahead and we're going to highlight all of our squares, and we're going to try to mix them up together. So, what that jumble of jargon that I just said means is go ahead, highlight all your layers, squares, move them up but keep the same horizontal, move the arrow key there. Okay, and then go ahead and highlight the middles only, and go ahead and pull those up to the edge, and now highlight the last three and pull those up to the edge like so. Make sure you don't overlap. So after you've moved all your squares together, we need to see how much space we have in between each of the squares. So let's grab that square we had before, put it in the bottom of your lower guide. Then we'll hit Command T and transform to see how much space we have to work with here. And that's the amount of space. Now we're going to divide that into 4 because in our sheet we have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to hit Command T on that rectangle, and you see how it says height 100%? I'm going to get height 25%, enter. So that's the amount of space we have for each of our areas. So I'm going to hit Command, and I'm going to select all the bottom layered squares. So that's right there. And I'm also want to put a guide down right on that square so I know how far to bring those squares down. And if you hold down the Shift key while you bring this down, it'll stay locked in those guides like so. And then I'm going to bring that back up here. Go to my next middle layers, hold down Shift key. To highlight multiple layers, hold down the Shift key to move it down to there. And again, make sure you have your guide. Command to click on that square, move that up. Make sure you have a guide on top of that. And your top layer images are right there. Hold down the Shift key and we're going to drag those down. So now that it should look pretty well placed together, and now you're ready for your text. When you do insert your pictures now, so let's say I have, let's see, this picture. Oh, by the way, if you ever want to resize everything together, if you hold down the Shift key and all of those, hit Command T, you can transform groups at the same time. So if I have this picture, I want to put that right over that square, like so. And it should fit. Now if it doesn't fit, you're going to have to hit Command T and transform it to that square. Now if it's lopsided, you may need to crop it accordingly, but never go like this and make it thinner. It's going to ruin your ratio. So instead of doing that, use the marquee tool and you can crop off a section if it doesn't fit, you know. Shift Command I and then delete, and you can delete a section if it doesn't fit for some reason, if you didn't edit it properly from before. Now if you have a picture without a black border, notice I don't have a black border. You'll want all of yours to have black borders if they don't already have them. If it doesn't have a black border, what you're going to do is go to your function right here, and in your function you're going to hit stroke. But here's the thing, instead of just doing a normal stroke on the outside, you're going to do a stroke on the inside. That way it doesn't add any extra space to the outside, which will throw off the proportions of your image. So doing that, okay, we're going to increase the stroke maybe to 15 or so. And again, that can vary depending on how you want it used. Okay, so now you'll see I have a stroke and it matches my other previous stroke. Now if you have another picture, okay, that you want to copy the same layer effect, so let's say I have another image here I'll bring in, okay, and let's say I don't have a stroke on this. What I can do is go into this image, control click, right now I clicked on the one I just applied a stroke to, hit control click and hit copy layer style, hit command and select this one that doesn't have it, and control click on that layer and hit paste layer style, and it will give us the same black layer to it. So again, I'll want to come in here, Command T to transform, make sure it's the exact same model. So again, line up all your photographs. Now, actually don't spend a lot of time organizing them yet, because we need to decide where's the best layout for these photographs to go. Remember we learned about photography and where the eye goes. It goes from top left to bottom right. So we want to put things that are going to draw our attention, and things where focal points are more in the top left and go to the bottom right. Also, if you have pictures with more sky, you want to put them in the top. If you have things with more on the ground, put them in the bottom. So in this example, okay, there's just a girl. So, I mean, not just a girl, but a girl. So maybe her in the middle. Here's steps. So steps, I notice how she's walking here. See this edge here? You want to put that on the outside. Look how her legs are walking inwards. You would want that rather than this. Because with this, your eye looks at this image and your eye goes off of the page. So I'd want to put that one over here. Sky, I'd probably want to move that up into where sky usually is. So next, you have these railings. Railings are usually, you know, on the side, so I'm going to leave that on the side. Maybe I'll put her up here. The guy is down here, so notice the guy's on the right, the border's on the left. So I'm going to put him on the right side. See that? It has more empty space on the right. You want to keep more empty spaces on the outsides and more things going on in the picture on the insides. See this picture? How it's slanted this way? You want things attracted inwards. So I'm going to leave that there. This I could put anywhere, so that's fine. In this picture, it is kind of going outwards. So if I wanted to face that one more inwards, I could flip that picture by doing a transform. Okay, so I could transform that and flip that. I could go to edit, transform, and then choose flip horizontally. You can't see that, but that's what I did. So see, notice how now your eye kind of comes into the picture for that. or actually I like it this way better. This creates more of like a base. So, but that's how you flip pictures if you need to flip. All right, so now I have something that I'm good with. So now I want to make sure that I line up all my pictures on those lines. So right now, using the arrow key to be more precise, moving those around. And again, you'll want some sort of black background, a black border. So if it doesn't have a black border, just copy that layer style. Like see on this one, I can, on layer 9, that one, I can control click, copy layer style, command click on, let's say, this one, control click, paste layer style. Now I have a black border, but then you'll want to command T to transform it maybe and make it a little bit smaller to match the other ones. You may want to take another ruler here to make sure they match. Make sure that they're the same size. You'll also want to take a ruler here and make sure that these all line up correctly. Also, you want to make sure that these gaps here are the same. And again, to do the same gaps, I would take the rectangle tool, draw a rectangle here, move it over here, make sure they match. So as you can see, it didn't match. Command click on that picture, move that one a little bit over, make sure those match, and then you'd have to adjust everything. Okay, so for time's sake, I'll leave that and let you change it, or hopefully you guessed right. Next, what I'm going to do is we're going to put in our titles of what these things are. Here's lines. I would highly recommend using Zapfino. Zapfino. It's a pretty good font. I'm going to choose 18. You want a font that's not too big, not too small. You also want the font not too far down here, because they may think like, oh, that lines picture goes with this picture. You want to keep it not all the way overlapping it like that, but not too far down. So I would give just a little bit of space so that it's associated with that picture. Now, you want to align this against this picture. To do that, you hold on the lines layer and you find layer 5, which is our, I can call that lines layer here, and I can move those next to each other. So I can shift and highlight both of those sections like so, and then here at the top you'll see the alignments. So here you'll see a line horizontal center, and if I do that, so you see the line, it kind of moved. I'll do that one more time, but a little bit more obvious. I'll put that around here, and then I'll hold down shift so both layers are selected, and hit the middle, and then it automatically lines it. And then I would do another guide on the bottom of lines again to make sure that I get them correct. And then I would hold down the option key and duplicate only lines, select only lines layer, duplicate, and move that over. And then actually that is lines, and this is something else. So I would name that what that image is. So okay, so make sure they're centered accordingly, make sure they're arranged correct. I'm going to zoom out here. So you'll just continue doing that to all of your images, making sure that they're all symmetrical and they're all lined up correctly, especially the ones at the bottom. Some people's are going to look different based on how big their top letters photography is. But when you're finished, I mean, you should have a really nice artwork, you know, to finish with. But again, make sure these pictures are high quality. It may not look bad on the computer screen, but when you print it, it could be poor quality, especially if you try zooming in on some of these pictures. They may look grainy. So really looking forward to seeing your photography at work, especially together. and collected. And again, pay attention to details, even little things like that. It's really gonna distract. And again, I recommend a clear font that you can read and that's legible. And I would stick with black just because it matches well with your borders and your other areas around it. Okay, when you're all finished with your labels and your lines, and again, you can choose a different font. Just make sure it's big enough and you can associate it with the picture and that it's readable. Go ahead and click on one of your squares, and we're gonna try to match this distance. We want to match the same distance as the edge here. So what you want to do is highlight everything except for your letters layer. So you might want to take that letters layer and put it all the way to the top one here, and then highlight everything else except for the last layer, and then just use the up arrow and move everything up until it's about the same distance, from here and there. So that should be about there. So it'll be a little bit better balanced. And now you're done, and you can just read the directions on how to save and export and publish. And so have fun with that. Eat some peanut butter and jellyfish. Later.